Hello everyone, this article was written on Thursday, 15 September 2022. What Sky News wrote: scientists propose controversial plan to refreeze North and South poles by spraying sulfur dioxide into atmosphere. Just quickly to read this article. A fleet of 125 military air-to-air refueling tankers would release a cloud of microscopic sulfur dioxide particles at an altitude of 43,000 feet, 13 kilometers, and an altitude of 60 degrees in both hemispheres, slightly shading the Earth's surface beneath. Scientists want to dial down the global thermostat. They say high-flying jets could spray microscopic aerosol particles into the atmosphere to reflect sunlight and cool the melting ice caps. Remember this reflect sunlight. Keep that in your mind. I will tell you later about it. Around 175,000 flights a year would be needed, releasing millions of tons of carbon dioxide. But the former UK chief scientist backed the plan, telling Sky News that polar warming is now critical, and refreezing the ice could hold back the rise in global sea levels. The new study was led by Wade Smith from Yale University in the United States. He warned the plan would treat an important symptom of climate change, not the cause. It's the aspirin, not penicillin. It's not a substitute for decarbonization, he said. Under the plan, a fleet of 125 military air-to-air refueling tankers would release a cloud of microscopic sulfur dioxide particles at an altitude of 43,000 feet, 13 kilometers, and altitude of 60 degrees in both hemispheres, roughly equivalent to the Shetland Islands in the north and the Falklands in the south. The particles would slowly drift towards the poles on high-altitude winds, slightly shading the Earth's surface beneath. Just over 13 meters tons of particles released in the spring and summer would be enough to cool the polar regions by, 2 degrees temperature. With more moderate cooling at mid-latitudes, according to the research published in the scientific journal Environmental Research Communications. The plan is controversial, not least because the large number of flights equivalent to more than 2 days of global air traffic in 2021 would release greenhouse gases into the upper atmosphere, where they are more damaging. Other scientists are also cautious about unleashing solar shading because it could have unintended consequences, such as reducing crop yields. Well, I will explain later. A plan to release particles, fumigation, reducing crop yields, it does sterilize and it kills old and so new can grow. That's what I wanted to say about this reducing crop yields. When you use chemicals, fumigants are chemicals. A plan to release particles from a balloon in northern Sweden last year was abandoned after protests from environmentalists. A large-scale release program would need international agreement. So they didn't come yet to that. According to our governments, they are all going to sign this. But the researchers argue only 1% of the human population lives in the target deployment zone, and 10 billion English pound a year cost of the program would be far less than carbon capture or other means of mitigating or adapting to climate change, they add. If the risk-benefit equation were to pay off anywhere, it would be at the poles, said Mr. Smith. Any intentional turning of the global thermostat would be of common interest to all humanity. I don't think there is any interest. The poles are warming several times faster than the global average, with record-breaking heat waves reported in the both Arctic and the Antarctic earlier this year. I will explain later why. Why are warming our poles? If the vast Greenland and West Antarctic ice sheets reach a tipping point, now seen as likely on current projections of global warming, then sea levels would rise by several meters. Sir David King, a former government chief scientist and founder of the Center for Climate Repair, CCR, at Cambridge University, told Sky News that radical action is needed to save polar ice. "You're right there, right now," he said. "The idea is to buy time while we reduce greenhouse emissions deeply and rapidly. That's essential. If we keep on emitting at the current rate, we are cooked." I will explain that later too. Dr. Sean Fitzgerald, the CCR director, said a large number of flights could be justified if they dealt with the immediate problem of sea level rise. Also, that I will explain later. Using aircraft is not nice at all, but the impact of those greenhouse gases is a longer-term effect. We are worried about the impacts of climate change right now. It's really urgent. The CCR is working on a strategy in its labs to brighten clouds over the Arctic Ocean with a fleet of ships pumping seawater into the atmosphere. The clouds would reflect sunlight back into space, cooling ice in the region. This is really interesting. The clouds would reflect sunlight back into space, cooling ice in the region. Why? Because they are already doing this. I will give explanation later. The CCR supports the United Nations moratorium on attempting any form of geoengineering at scale unit until experiments have shown it is safe and there is agreement that there is a critical need to use it. Do you really think United Nations would not agree on this? They're behind everything. They're criminals. Okay, another article I want to read for you. Researchers get a new view of how water and sulfur dioxide mix. This is article from May 9, 2011. The role of sulfur dioxide, a pollutant of volcanic gases and many combustion processes, in acid rain is well known, but how sulfur dioxide reacts at the surface of aqueous particulates in the atmosphere to form acid rain is far from understood. In National Science Foundation funded laboratory experiments at the UO, chemistry doctoral student Stephanie Tiotta examined the behavior of sulfur dioxide as it approaches and adsorbs onto water at low temperatures that mimic high atmospheric conditions. Using a combination of short-pulsed infrared and visible laser beams, she monitored the interaction of sulfur dioxide with water as it is flowed over a water surface. The results, detailed online ahead of regular publication in the Journal of the American Chemical Society, show that as sulfur dioxide molecules approach the surface of water, they are captured by the topmost surface water molecules, an effect that is enhanced at cold temperatures. Although this reaching out, says co-author Geraldine L. Richmond, professor of chemistry, provides a doorway for sulfur dioxide to enter the water solution. The weak nature of the surface bonding interaction doesn't guarantee that the water temperatures will be successful. We have found that the sulfur dioxide bonding to the surface is highly reversible and does not necessarily provide the open doorway that might be expected, Otta said. For example, for highly acidic water, the sulfur dioxide approaches and bonds to the water surface but shows little interest in going any further into the bulk water. The uptake of gases like sulfur dioxide has important implications in understanding airborne pollutants and their role in global warming and climate change. Sulfur dioxide that has come together with water becoming aqueous reflects light coming toward planet. Again, sulfur dioxide that has come together with water becoming aqueous reflects light coming toward the planet, while carbon dioxide accumulating in the atmosphere traps heat onto the planet. Understanding the interaction of surface water molecules, such as those in clouds and fog, with pollutants arising from human activity below may help scientists better predict potential chemical reactions occurring in the atmosphere and their impacts, said Richmond, who was elected May 3rd as a member of the National Academy of Sciences. In the past, we presumed that most chemistry in the atmosphere occurred when gas molecules collide and react, she said. These studies are some of the first to provide molecular insights into what happens when atmospherically important gas, such as sulfur dioxide, collides with the water surface, and the role that water plays in playing the temptress to foster activity. And at Wikipedia, you can read about sulfur dioxide used as fumigant. Just a moment. Uses of sulfur dioxide, fumigant. Okay, guys, in the beginning of the 20th century, sulfur dioxide was used in Buenos Aires as a fumigant to kill rats that carry the Yersinia pestis bacterium, which causes bubonic plague. The application was successful, and the application of this method was extended to other areas in South America. Also in Rio de Janeiro, New Orleans, San Francisco. The sulfur dioxide treatment machines were brought into the streets to enable extensive disinfection campaigns with effective results. What they are saying to us? They are going to use sulfur dioxide as a fumigant in the North Pole, and fumigant killed rats in Buenos Aires. Same sulfur dioxide. So do you want to be a rat? I don't know. Okay, I will read symptoms from sulfur dioxide. Symptoms of sulfur dioxide poisoning, early symptoms and signs of sulfur dioxide poisoning. Typical symptoms are sneezing, tearing, blurred vision, acute pulmonary edema, and death, etc. Sulfur dioxide poisoning symptoms. The symptoms of human body exposure to sulfur dioxide can be divided into two phase reactions. Immediate reactions include irritation and burns to the eyes, nose, and throat, as well as tightness in the chest, shortness of breath, and dry cough. Well, I was capturing 2 years ago one video, and there was like ice crystals on the sky. I will show you that video later. Immediate reactions which I had were irritation and burns to the eyes and nose and to my lips, and also on my skin. That's what I experienced. Manifestation of conjunctivitis, corneal burns, erythematous pharyngitis, and rales on chest auscultation. Exposure to high concentrations of sulfur dioxide can cause acute pulmonary edema and death within a few hours. Patients who survive the acute phase develop second phase respiratory symptoms 2 to 3 weeks after poisoning, and patients may suffer from respiratory failure due to diffuse pulmonary infiltration. Some patients may have continuous airflow obstruction. Guys, why I'm reading this to you? So you have to understand, they want to cool down planet with the sulfur dioxide, and they're gonna poison us like rats. This is why I'm reading these symptoms to you, so you understand which symptoms you may have. Also, what I would suggest to you is, now it's already springtime coming, so you will not need to know these things. In the summertime, when they are spraying, and when you see a lot of chemicals, I mean chemtrails, in the sky, keep clothes all over your skin as much as possible. Do not expose your skin to that sky, because it's poisonous. And you are only safe to be nowadays in the sun for 15 minutes for white people. Anytime from noon to 12:30. And for colored dark people, or should I say black people, excuse me, you need to stay exposed to the sun between 30 minutes, between noon and 12:30. Any other time, before and after, is radioactive, because they are spraying sky. We inhale this. We eat food poisoned. We drink water which is poisoned with these pollutants, chemicals dropped from the air from airplanes. Okay, let's read further. Medical history has obvious history of exposure to sulfur dioxide. According to clinical manifestations, it can be diagnosed with sneezing, tearing, dry cough, headache, chest tightness, and dyspnea. I think that's all. Yes, that is all. Guys, this is the video I captured 2 years ago, and it's on my YouTube channel, so you can find it easy. It's cloud computing, chemtrails, and HAARP. I will remove camera. You don't need me to see me while I'm showing you this video. Okay, it's going. So if you get a chance to be out in the summer, in summer weather, in the sun, with real true blue skies, feel how hot it is on your skin. It's hardly hot. And how long time you need to be out. Then go out when there is a white sheen of higher altitude chemtrails, like this one from the video you're seeing now. It magnifies the sun. See this? That's what chemtrails do. Magnifies the sun. It also magnifies the moon. We noticed they are spraying us during night also. During nights. So it does magnify the sun. Only when they are heavy and low does it block the sun. The lighter, higher haze creates the greenhouse effect. You won't feel like your skin is burning in less than 5 minutes with true blue skies, but less than 5 minutes with chemtrail haze, and feels like it's burning. That's the sky, what I was telling you, that I felt burning on my nose, eyes, and on my face, and it was really, really cold outside. Then watch the wind created by EMF, HAARP, 16 stations worldwide. When they want to warm the poles and cool down other regions, they use the EMF stations. For example, for the Arctic, the wind will blow north to the south to move cold air towards the south, and then other winds will be created from south towards Arctic. Let's put it this way. The weather news doesn't predict anything. They tell us what's planned and what is executed. They tell enslaved poor people to pay more taxes because our breath and cars cause too much pollution, while rich people travel the world in private jets. Extermination is their goal. We are being sprayed like bugs. And with this sulfur dioxide, what could go wrong? Well, we could all freeze, we could have mini ice age, or our Earth could behave as volcanoes and erupt. That's all from me.